I remember my mom being like, you're about to enter kindergarten and you're going to be behind everybody else if you don't know how to do long division.
Hi, I'm Terrell Turner, the host of the Business Talk Library, and today I had a guest on, and the story intrigued me because she went from I guess you call it a teenage doctor to just making a complete change, and her article really caught my attention, so I'm glad to have Michelle on the show. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk about that crazy convoluted journey that was in my article the other day.
So just to be clear for everyone now, Michelle is one of the co-founders of FLIK. So give us a little bit of idea about what FLIK is, and then we'll go back and hit your background.
Right. So FLIK is a platform that connects female founders and leaders with students from all across the world via meaningful apprenticeships. So founders get helping hands on their businesses, and students are able to get invaluable experience, skills, training, and mentorship under these established female leaders.
Awesome. Now, I think that is a phenomenal tool. I mean, for multiple areas I think anytime you're venturing into something new or trying to start a business or just trying to navigate the next stage, having a mentor is invaluable. I think from all these interviews, it's probably one of the things that every business owner has mentioned is that, hey, I wish I had a mentor, or, hey, I'm glad I had a mentor.
Oh yeah, totally. We wouldn't be where we are today without all these mentors that helped us along the way. And just even people who are looking out for us. Your mentors don't necessarily have to be people who are much older than you. So a lot of the mentors that we have are also colleagues.
Hmm. Awesome. So now let's go back to the article, and you tell us a little bit more about your background and the reference to the teenage doctor.
Yeah, like I was saying when we were chatting before the show, is that I was always meant to be a doctor. I remember being really, really young, and my parents would be like, oh, what do you want to be? Or in kindergarten, they ask you, what do you want to do with your life? And I think I always was just like, I just want to do good things. Like, I just want to be a good person. And everybody took that as, oh, so you want to create positive impact. You want to create social impact. And the only way you can do that is to be a doctor, because the only jobs that I think we knew about were engineering, becoming a doctor, becoming a lawyer, maybe accounting, and business person, but that was very vague and nobody really knew what that meant. So at the end of the day, for us, it was just like, what are the skills that you're really good at? I learned math and science starting when I was really, really young. Like when I was literally 5 years old, I remember my mom being like, you're about to enter kindergarten and you're going to be behind everybody else if you don't know how to do long division. And I was like,
Wow.
what? Yeah, so I like could do long division when I was 5 years old. Oh, my mom's looking at me now. And yeah, so I was always really, really good at math and sciences. So that was just the path that I was put on. And I think that is a story that a lot of people can resonate with. And when you're that young and you decide this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life, it's pretty crazy, but that's what I strive towards. So when I was in school, I was in high school, I had to apply to get permission to do like all APs in grade 11 or something. I did like AP bio, AP physics,
Wow.
AP chem. I did every single science and math, AP calc, like every single science and math AP possible. I went to school for medical sciences. People in the hallways at school used to call me Dr. Kwok. Like even the teachers would be like, hey, Dr. Kwok, how's it going? Just like, that's kind of a joke, but kind of not. People at parties, when they got cut, they'd be like, Dr. Kwok can fix it. Call Michelle. Tell her, what do we do now? Or somebody would be sick and they'd be like, what do I do when I'm sick? And I was like, pretty much what everybody does when they're sick. But I just said the same thing and they'd be like, yeah, Dr. Kwok always knows. So I ended up going to school at University of Western Ontario. It's in London, Ontario. It's out of Toronto for the specialized program called Medical Sciences, and with a major in integrated medical sciences. And that's kind of when it was the first time I had freedom, I guess. It was the first time I'd gone to a different school. I'd gone to the same school for 12 years.
Wow.
I had gone to an all girls school, same school for 12 years. I lived in the same house since I was born. I had always lived with my parents. I'd never lived anywhere else. We hadn't even moved one time. So going to school from Vancouver all the way across to Ontario was the first time that I had kind of the slice of freedom that I was like, do I have to be doing all these things? Do I even like this degree? I don't think I had once asked myself if I liked something. I think I'd always been like, how do I match up against other people? Um, are my parents proud of me? Do they like what I'm doing? It was always like, do other people like what I'm doing? Am I doing the right thing based on what everybody else is doing? How am I doing relative to other people? And
Wow.
I think and it's because we're in this such close knit community, like Vancouver, everybody knows each other. I can go out and I'll probably bump into like 5 people that I know. But at Western, it was the first time it was like tens of thousands of people. I was in a dorm where I didn't know anybody there. All my friends were in a dorm across campus, and I was the only one in my one here. And so I was like, for the first time, I don't really know what everybody else is doing. There's all these people. How am I supposed to compare myself to those people? I can't. So
Mhm.
it was more of me being introspective, being like, so then if I can't compare myself to all these people, I don't know what everybody else is doing. What am I doing? And I was like, have I even asked myself that before? I don't know. And going to classes for the first time, I was kind of bored. There were like 500 people in a class. I'd never been in a class larger than I think 23 people
Wow.
before.
It's a big jump.
There was like 500 people in my first class. I was like, I can't even talk to the professor. I was so used to bantering with my teachers, them knowing exactly who I was, them being like, I noticed you weren't in class today. What were you doing? And for the first time, I was like, I'm not in class today. Nobody knows I'm not in class today, not even the other people in the class. So I had already done all these APs, so I already kind of knew a lot about the science stuff. And I took this extra time to look into different things. I'd started picking up videography, something my parents were not okay with. They were like, you're not going to get into medical school if you're making videos. But I was like, I thought I could be Sam Colder. I was like, I could be a travel vlogger. Definitely not my vibe. I do not want to be an influencer, but I loved it. It was this medium where you could be so interactive with your content. People can watch it and be like, I feel like I'm there. The reason why I loved movies was because it took me from my mundane life into this completely different world, and I felt like videos and short films could do the same thing.
Mhm.
So I started teaching myself how to do that. Somebody was like, oh, people are always looking for video content. You could just do video content for other brands. And so when I turned to 19, I was like, well, we're all university students. We all need alcohol. We all don't have money. So I would reach out to alcohol brands and be like, I will make you video content for free. I already host all of these parties with my friends. I even sent them like my friends' Instagrams, and I was be like, these are the people who are going to be in your ads. And I sent this whole cold email being like, just let me make ads for you and give us free merch and free alcohol. And they said yes. They were like, oh, that's an awesome idea. We didn't even think about that. And little did I know I had created this like ambassador program. It's just
Wow.
suddenly it was just this, it was like on the cusp of it being cool to have university college ambassadors.
Mhm.
Um, and I guess I had just hit that cusp where brands were starting to think about that. So I started helping build this ambassador program unknowingly with this brand called Hey Y'all. I created partnerships. I didn't even know what these things were called. They were just like, "Oh, could you get us into this bar?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know people at this bar. I'll totally get you in." And so that was the thing called partnerships. And so I ended up creating like partnerships with nightclubs and bars and stuff. And they were like, "Do you know other people like you that could do stuff like this?" And I was like, I don't know other people who could make video, but I know other people who will go to parties and help promote you if you give them free stuff. And And that was something that we ended up calling ambassadors. And we're like, so I ended up helping them find these campus ambassadors across campuses who were also my friends or friends of friends. And we started spreading the word and helping expand this brand into Ontario. They were like, okay, now can you create these promotional events? I was like, sure. And so I was like doing event marketing. It was just because it was such a small company. They didn't really have that many resources, but I was so willing to do stuff, and I was so willing to dip my toe in different things and figure out different things. And every time they asked me if I could do something, I just said yes. Because all you had to do to create events is like know some people and ask really nicely and like create this party, and everybody wants to go to a party. How do you make everybody want to go to your party? And so I ended up learning a bunch of this stuff just for working for this company, and I'd never created a resume before, and they ended up hiring me to do other things. They're like, basically you're half of our marketing right now. So yeah, I ended up doing that. With that, I got so many more opportunities. There was this guy that really wanted to work with that company to create a huge ad campaign for them, so he connected with me, and I ended up that although the ad campaign never worked out, we ended up working together on a social media marketing agency, and I was able to use those skills and get clients and like really be able to own my own accounts, which was really crazy. I was like, I don't know, like 18, 19,
Wow.
turning 20, and owning these accounts with companies that had like over $2 million in sales. And it was just like a really crazy opportunity. And then suddenly Bumble came along, and they were like, oh, those stuff that you do is really cool. Would you want to work with like female leadership events? And they were trying to push Bumble Biz. And so I got to tap back into like my female mentorship and like women leadership side, where Bumble was trying to push forward female entrepreneurs. I was like, I basically done this female mentorship thing my entire life in school when I was back at that all girls school. That was something that was really important to me, and I brought that into my job with Bumble. Yeah, and one thing led to another, and then I was like, I am not going to take the MCAT. I don't think that I want to go to medical school. And like my parents had no idea that I was doing any of this at the time. I was pretty much being like, I'm a great student. I go to all my classes. I go to all my medical labs. And there was this one class. It was this medical science lab where you had to show up to every single lab, otherwise you fail the course.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I went, and I had created this whole, I was part of this like core team of creating this event in San Francisco for Gen Z social entrepreneurship. And we had created in partnership with Headspace, Bumble, like Disney, Uber, some of the biggest brands out there. And I didn't realize, but like a month before the event, my medical science lab landed on that day of the event. And I was like, oh, please no. So I was like, I'm on the core team of this event. I have to be there. I have to go. I go to this professor and I'm like, look, Dr. Z. So basically I'm not going to be able to go to this lab, but I have a really good reason for it. And and I just listed all the things that I've been doing. I was like, I honestly don't think that I'm going to be going to medical school. I don't think, like, next year I'm considering changing my degree. I don't really know this is what I want to do, but this event is something that I have to do. Like I was one of 4 people on a core team creating this event in San Francisco. I'm getting flown out there to do this thing. Please let me go. And she just laughed at me and she was like, I have literally never heard that before. So you can do it. It was basically like everybody else I think there were like 100 people in my program. And everybody else in my program are huge keeners, right? They're
okay.
Not that I wasn't. I was a huge keener. Even in the program, I was like, I'm going to do the entire project. You guys don't do anything. I'm going to do it. But everybody was so certain about medical school. Everybody in my lab group was like, oh yeah, I'm applying. I'm the only one who's like, oh, I don't really know. And so it was the first time I think she heard this keener medical science student tell her, I need to fly to San Francisco for a social entrepreneurship event that I've been creating with Headspace and Bumble. And it caught her so off guard that she's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, you can do that. Okay. We'll just do the lab with you another time. So it was just like, I was very, very lucky to be able to be in the right place, have the right people around me, and learn about entrepreneurship in kind of like a very safe way. I was in school. Part of it was like my extracurriculars. Part of it was just meeting a bunch of people and getting opportunities and putting myself out there.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I ended up learning about entrepreneurship. I ended up applying to the startup accelerator called Next 36, moving to Toronto to be in the startup accelerator and starting FLIK out of it. And none of it was supposed to happen. I wasn't even supposed to be roomed with my eventual co-founder because I went into
Oh.
yeah, so I was that guy that I was working on that marketing agency with. We went into Next 36 together. We were co-founders in Next 36 going in together. Um, and then when I was there, I realized there weren't that many female founders and mentors in the program.
Hmm.
There weren't even that many colleagues who were female founders in the program. Most of the other female colleagues we had, I think there were like less than 18% females in the program, and there were like 42 people. So that's when the idea first sparked that we should start a side hustle. It was just a side hustle. It was like, let's just go and interview all these female founders and mentors because they have no idea who we are. If we just say, oh, we want to coffee chat you, they're gonna be like, why? So we were like, back to my videography thing. I was like, oh, I'll make video content for you. We'll
Hmm.
make video content for you. We'll interview you. We'll put you on our social media. We'll publicize your story. Our thing at that time was sharing the untold stories of visionary women. Like that was our
Wow.
mission. Um, and everybody loved the mission for some reason. It was just like, I remember we were interviewing the editor-in-chief of Glamour magazine at this tech conference, and she was like, I turned down at least 8 other
Oh, wow.
interviewers for you guys because I love your mission. And we were like, oh my gosh, who are we? We don't even know who we are. Yeah, and it was just a side hustle. Both of us, me and Ravina, my co-founder, we were both working on different things at that time. We were both working on different ventures, but then the middle of the summer hit, and it was like, the other ventures, I honestly don't even remember what they were. We were like, does this mean something to us, or what we're doing right now means something to us? And I remember talking to my other co-founder at the time, Sam, that I come into Next 36 with, and I was like, Sam, I literally don't know what this is, but I've actually never felt so motivated in my life to make something work
Wow.
as much as this. Like, I don't know what it is. There's literally this like a fueled fire within me being like, you have to do something with this. I don't know what it is. And he's like, how are you gonna make money? I was like, I don't know. And he's like, wait, so are you guys just doing interviews? And I was like, I don't know. And it was like the 6-hour conversation of me being like, I genuinely have zero or negative idea, but this feeling is amazing. People are telling us that our stories are impacting them. We're helping somebody, and if I'm helping at least one person out there and I end up failing, that's okay, you know.
Mhm.
And so after that 6-hour conversation, we were like, okay, we parted ways, and ended up being that next day, my next co-founder Ravina and I were like, wow, okay, let's do this. Let's just start this business and just figure out what it's gonna be like. And we were looking back, and it was like Ravina was supposed to be roomed with somebody else. I was supposed to be roomed with Sam, but both of those guys put in their forms late for their rooming arrangements. And so Ravina and I were put together, and we were not meant to be put together. It was like we were a month in and trying to get out of the rooming arrangements with each other. But it ended up working for the better. And now we have we pivoted to an apprenticeship portal. See, over time, we kept on being like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What is the problem that we're fixing?
Mhm.
Talking to everybody who is listening to our stories, talking to everybody who is engaging with us and being like, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? And out of that, we found this apprenticeship portal. And now we have over 2,000 people on it.
Oh, wow. Wow. So how did you guys get started with, I guess, just transitioning people over to the apprenticeship portal?
Well, when we first started the media stuff, we would just engage a lot with people. We'd be like, what are you looking for? Students would always be like, oh, I want to meet mentors like this. I want to meet people like this. And they were like, how can I work for people like this? And it started to shift the conversation. And on the same side, when we were interviewing all these female founders, we'd be like, what do you need? And because, like female founders disproportionately have a lack of capital, they were always struggling to accelerate their businesses, right? So we were like, okay, so there's these students that want to work for you. And I was thinking back to my own thing where I used to just reach out to companies and be like, I'm going to work for you for free and you're going to hire me. Basically, my cold email strategy has definitely changed since then, but but it worked at the time. And so it was just that little like cogs turning, just being like, okay, so how can we make this work? How can we bring these sides together? How can we make sure that both sides have value? And then we would just ask people, we'd be like, if we did this, would you be down? Like, if we did this, would you be down? And these people would kind of be like, oh yeah, I totally would be. And then so I think we just made this form on the website, just being like, if you're down for this idea, put your name on a wait list and we're going to keep you updated. We didn't promise anything. We were just like, just put your name on this wait list and you can be the first to sign up and the first to be part of our community. And it will be free for you. And so just making it super easy for people to give us feedback and be like, yeah, I'm really excited for this, or no, I don't really want to sign up for this. And we were like, if you're not even going to sign up for a wait list, and you're not going to even want to use this thing. But people kept on signing up for it. And I think we had like 800 people on our wait list.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And, and then when we just launched a very version 1, like MVP portal, and it really just like surpassed all of our expectations. We sent a wait list. That didn't mean that nobody had signed up. It was just like an email newsletter. Mm-hmm. And we sent out a newsletter being like, we're open, you can sign up now. And we hadn't even built the portal. Like, you couldn't do any browsing features. You could just sign up your profile. And like hundreds of people signed up their profile and you couldn't even browse anything. They just signed up for a profile and we were like, yeah, we'll let you know when you can browse people. It was like such a choppy thing that we did just to see if people were interested. It was like that next level. If you're willing to get to the next level, then how interested are you to get to the next level? And we dragged these people on for months. Like, I'm not even joking. We dragged people on for months. And people would email us being like, oh, I'm super excited to get on the portal. And we'd be like, yeah, next week. And then the next week would come and we'd be like, and the week after that, maybe.
I think that's probably by far one of the most effective MVP processes I've ever heard.
Yeah, well, we were making sure that people were genuinely going to stick with us, and they did. I think that, oh my gosh, the first person who signed up for, or one of the first people who signed up, I think at least top 10 people who signed up for the FLIK portal, she kept in contact with us throughout the entire process, told us how interested she was, told us how excited she was. And she kept on coming back and asking, and she really pushed us to bring out the portal earlier. And then we launched Browse, and then she requested me to be my apprentice. And I was like, you took this long to ask me? Like, that's crazy. And now she's working for us.
Nice. Wow.
And she's one of the best people. I'm so glad we brought her on. But yeah, we've met so many cool people along this process, and yeah, just really grateful.
So in all of that process, what was probably the more scarier or more nervous moment or most uncertain moment in all that process?
Telling my parents I wasn't going to medical school.
And how did
You
that
have
go?
no idea. You have no idea. So what had happened was that I was like, oh my gosh, I got into Next 36. What am I going to do? And I was like, my mindset, I was like, if I'm going to Next 36, I'm starting a business. If I'm starting a business, I'm not going to school. And so I texted my parents. I was like, I'm going to switch my degree so that I can finish my degree online. And I will get it, but I'm switching my degree. I'm going to this program called Next 36. I never told them that I had applied for it. I was like, this is the website. And 3, I'm starting a business and not going back to school next year. It was a text. It was a text message in the family group chat. And keep in mind, I'm like in Ontario. My family's in Vancouver. I texted them. My phone starts blowing up. I don't answer. 0 answer for me. Okay. My phone's blowing up. I'm like, would I want to accept this call? Probably not. Gonna go watch a movie. Let that simmer for a few days. They looked up the website, everything. I remember walking into academic counseling 15 minutes before it closing and being like, Esther, I need to change my degree.
Wow.
She's like, are you sure? She goes and checks my grade. She's like, you don't need to change your degree. Like, your degree is fine right now. You can make it to the next year. And I was like, it's not about that. I just need to do it. This is something I need to do. And she was like, there's only 15 minutes left in walking academic counseling right now. We can talk about this tomorrow. I was like, no, I'm going to do this.
Wow.
And that was it wasn't even impulsive. I think I'd been thinking about it for a really long time because I had been feeling so stagnant for too long. I don't think it was an impulsive decision. It was definitely one that I made really, really quickly, but it wasn't impulsive in the way that for 3 years I had felt like I wasn't growing in the way that I needed to grow. Like I need to learn things all the time. Like I feel like I'm doing nothing if I'm not learning every single day. I have like 6 books in front of me over here. Not that I read every day, but it's like the idea that they are there. So if I need to push myself, I can start reading them at any time, or I'm taking calls with people and learning from them. Like I felt like I wasn't absorbing useful knowledge that was making me grow as a person, and it was killing me. You know, I was like, I need to like absorb things like a sponge. And so it wasn't an impulsive decision. I think I knew that entrepreneurship was the way to go for me because I had learned way more outside of the classroom at that point that I had within the classroom. All of my exams, if my parents ever listen to this, all of my exams, I learned all that material within 24 to 48 hours before each exam. I didn't feel the need to go to class because I was able to absorb that. If I'm able to absorb that information a few days before an exam, then why am I going to spend like hundreds of hours in class when I can learn so many other things outside of class? And I definitely wouldn't recommend this to many other people. People would see me in the library and be like, do you have an exam soon? Because I never see you otherwise. I'm like, yep. Yeah. And I would just like I don't know, I would just like read notes and try to remember where it was on the page and stuff like that. I tried so many different types of study techniques so that I could get it down pat. And I don't think that I fully absorbed all the information the way that you're supposed to, but my entrepreneurial experiences were definitely the thing that was driving me through school. Cause I was like, the only reason why I'm able to have all these entrepreneurial experiences is because I'm in school right now and I have that safety net. So I think every single time I was about to take an exam, I was like, why am I doing this? And I was like, oh, I'm doing this so that I can still have all these experiences outside of school, all these extracurricular experiences. And my classmates would be like, so you don't even really like what we're learning right now? And I'm like, well, I like what it allows me to do. It was like 1 + 1 = 2, right? It wasn't the thing that I needed to be doing, but I needed to do this to get to where I wanted to be. And so it was definitely really hard telling my parents, like, I know I've been in this medical sciences degree for 3 years now, but I'm not going to go to medical school. And we're still getting over it now, I think, but it's been much better in the past few months.
Well, awesome. So how has your vision for FLIK, changed, I guess you'd say, today when you and your co-founder look at it and say, okay, all right, this is where we want FLIK to go, or this is where we want it to be. What does that look like today?
I think we've always had a huge, huge vision. And we were afraid to tell people because people would make fun of us. I remember somebody, I'm not going to say who it was, but like somebody was like, the first time I met you, I thought all you did was go out and party and do nothing. And I thought that you and Ravina basically did nothing for months on end and would
Wow.
just, and I don't know if it was something about my personality or something, but on Venture Day, we were one of the very few, I think like only 5 ventures got chosen to demo on Venture Day, and we were one of them, and everyone was confused. Like I'm saying, everybody was like, I don't get why they got chosen. Like what have they even been doing? Like they've been probably doing nothing.
Mhm.
But we've actually been building this whole thing on the side, and people had no idea. We just didn't tell anyone. We didn't feel the need to tell anybody until there was like a tangible high impact outcome. We didn't even really want to show it off on Venture Day because we hadn't finished building the portal yet or anything like that.
Mhm.
But when we told everyone, they were so shocked. And even at that point, they were like, what is your vision for this? And we would tell them, and they'd be like, yeah, like, that's funny. Kind of being like, oh,
Mhm.
I don't think you guys probably won't get there, but like, good going, girls. But now I'm not really afraid to tell that vision, because no matter if it happens or not, as long as you're striving for it, you're doing something that's net positive. So I guess our big vision is first to like globally expand the apprenticeship portal so that we're able to reach under-resourced and underrepresented founders, especially those in high potential untapped areas like India and Africa and parts of like
Mhm.
rural China, and just like all across the world, wherever we're able to reach, we want to be able to support those founders. That's number one. Number two is being able to create a VC arm so that we're able to invest capital into these underrepresented founders. Like less than 2%, or about 2% of venture capital funding went to female founders last year, like
Wow.
only 2%, which is really, really crazy. And I think it's
Mhm.
like 0.2% to minorities, which
Wow.
is ridiculous, right? Like
Mhm.
that's crazy. That's definitely something that we want to be able to build out and be able to have those financial decision making skills and have that expertise in the startup area, which is why we're talking to all these founders right now and seeing where they're at,
Mhm.
and really understand the space in order to properly invest in these high growth founders. And then another thing that we want to do, which is probably not really good for times like this, but we would love to be able to create co-working spaces that are attuned to female founders. So for example, like WeWork is, it's like built for men. Like there's
Mhm.
like beer and stuff like that, but you'll never find like a place where you're able to feed your baby or have
Mhm.
a baby sitting center or anything that moms really, really need as like a mom entrepreneur. So a lot of mom entrepreneurs feel like there's a barrier to accelerating their businesses because they're always strapped at home.
Mhm.
And having those areas that are female founded oriented, you don't have to be a completely all female team or anything like that, but just if you do have like a majority of women on your team, you're able to support them in that way. And creating that like whole, making FLIK into this comprehensive company that supports founders and upcoming founders on all fronts.
I think that is an amazing vision. And based on everything you told me, I think it is. I can definitely see it happening. So definitely, please continue with that. And I think it's a big need, because even on as I started doing more interviews with, like, especially during the pandemic, of helping other businesses get the word out, I would say this is probably interview number like 25 in the past, the past 14 days. And what I'm finding is most of the business owners I've been coming across have been female entrepreneurs or female business owners, and like the ideas that they have and the businesses that they're developing are phenomenal ideas. And I think there are a lot of females out there that definitely have great ideas and are looking for that apprenticeship or that help or that connection with someone who can help them navigate that road. So I think your mission is an awesome mission. Yeah.
Thank you. That's so nice. Thanks for thinking that we could attain it. That's the validation I need.
I think that, I mean, I think, like I said, I think that your timing, I think even just with your story, I mean, just everything that you've done before, just says that I think you have the right pieces to make it happen. Because that's one of the things that even as I've been doing this interviews, I've had more people, more female entrepreneurs from other countries reach out to me. Like, I think later this week I have a couple entrepreneurs and female entrepreneurs in Nigeria that saw an episode of the show and wanted to be on the show. And I'm just like, man, there's a very, very big need of people that want to connect, that are doing things, and they're learning the hard lessons themselves. But it would be so much easier and better for them if they had someone that they could connect to, ask questions, and help them navigate those uncertain roads. So yeah, I think you guys are on to something great.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
No problem. So, how can people follow you, see what you're posting, or follow any updates or what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so on all social channels, you can just look us up at We Are FLIK, and that's We Are FLIK. And I think you found me on my LinkedIn. I post a lot of our updates on my LinkedIn, so you can find me at Michelle Kwok and just follow me on LinkedIn there. And just check us out at weareflik.com.
Awesome, awesome. And one last question before we wrap it up. This is something I like to ask every guest that comes on the show is, and I know you probably have a ton to give, but what is a piece of wisdom you've picked up in the process of building your company so far?
I think the biggest thing is that a lot of people don't have, I guess, the confidence to just ask. And for me, I'm like, you have literally nothing to lose. If you have something to ask of someone, ask it of them politely, and make it a personal message. Never copy and paste a message. I made all of my asks to mentors or people that I looked up to or people that I needed advice from very, very personally, and just reach out to everybody. You don't have to have like self-confidence to do it. At the end of the day, if they don't respond to you, there's no detriment to your life. There's no net negative. There's only potential for net positive. So just go and do it.
Awesome, awesome. I like that advice. Well, definitely thank you, Michelle, so much for being on the show. And I'm definitely excited to continue watching and seeing what you guys are doing and seeing how FLIK develops and goes global. I'm really looking forward to that.
Thank you so much. We really, really hope that we're able to do that. Thanks for having me on your show today. That was fun. And thanks for letting me rant.